Welcome to the Burned Out Preacher podcast, where we have frank discussions weekly on ministry struggles and how many of us in the ministry have gone from overwhelmed and exhausted to calm and equipped leaders who love being in ministry. I am your host, Monique Addison-Stinson, burnout prevention coach for ministry leaders. Are you ready to overcome burnout? If your answer is yes, then keep listening. All right. Hello and welcome back to the Burned Out Preacher podcast. I am your host, Monique Addison-Stinson, burnout prevention coach for ministry leaders, and I help ministry leaders move from overwhelmed and exhausted to calm and equipped leaders who love being in ministry. And I'm so excited. Today I have my first guest, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. So, ma'am, tell the people who you are.
Hi everyone, my name is Bree Grayheart. I love to go by the name Bree. It's one of my, better personalities. But I have known Monique for years, and she is definitely good at what she does. This is definitely God ordained, okay? I'm just so happy to see this grow and flourish into everything that I know God has in store for it. So I'm excited to be your first guest, little old me.
Right, I know, super excited to have you. And I knew whenever I started, and when I was like, you know what, I'm going to start having guests, I was like, Brianna's going to be the first guest. She's definitely the first guest. So tell everyone, because you are a minister, you and your husband.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, over here on Burnout Preacher podcast, we talk about burnout. So tell everyone what your definition of ministry burnout is. Like, when you hear that, what do you feel like? What does it say to you?
Well, from experiencing my own form of burnout, I had my first child in 2019, and she was actually a New Year's baby. And when I found out that I was pregnant, we actually took our first assignment as supply pastors while I was pregnant. And so to go through that experience, so while being pregnant with your first child, talk about God launched me into the deep. He threw me.
I was gonna say he threw you.
He threw me. You want to be launched? Here, let me push you. So I was, it was later in 2018 when we took our first charge. And I mean, it was a lot of responsibility. I'm a church baby.
Right.
My mom's a minister, my grandfather's a minister, my uncle's a minister, it goes throughout my family. So a PK is nothing new to me.
Right.
Church folk, nothing new to
Right.
me. But being in that position as a first lady, oh my goodness, it was different. I loved it because I loved on the people, which I think is just, the foundation of ministry.
Right.
But the workload, oh my goodness, there is nothing that can prepare you for the workload that comes with ministry. So I think it's very...
Or being a new parent.
Right. And then, the pandemic started not too long after I had her. So talk about being thrown into just different scenarios and situations all at once. It was very overwhelming. But I mean, we loved pastoring. We loved the people. We loved, the work of ministry. We loved that aspect. And our church was not local, so we had to travel. So traveling as a new mom, a new parent with a newborn, and our travel was about an hour and a half one way.
Really? I did not realize that.
Yes.
Oh,
yes. It was an hour and a half one way. So Talk about that.
Oh man.
My first Sunday going to church, the car was loaded with stuff. I had like 3 bags, multiple changing clothes, the boppy. I had everything you could think of, okay?
Oh my goodness. I did not realize it was an hour. Wow.
Yeah. It
So
was
2 hours. Like, wow.
yes. So round trip, you're looking at almost 3 hours of being in a car with a newborn. It was definitely something, but it was a good experience. I mean,
Right.
again, I loved the people. The people were very helpful. They were very understanding, and they did everything they could to help little old me, which I was so grateful for. I mean, looking back, I'm laughing at myself because I'm like, girl, how much stuff did you really need? I had everything.
That would be me though. You know, because you think about, okay, what if, you know, you think about all the what ifs and you try to, and that's how we are though. That's our mentality. We try to prepare and pre-plan for everything. So I get it.
Especially being so far away from home.
Right.
You're like,
Right.
I can't just run home and get
Exactly.
this if I forget it.
Exactly. That is crazy. So when did you realize, because I know we're talking about it now, and as you look back, you're like, okay, that was crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy time. But when did you realize you were actually dealing with ministry burnout? Like when did it click?
I think for me, it really clicked when I couldn't balance everything anymore. Because, you know, my husband, we're such a team in everything that we do.
Right.
So programs, it was both of us, you know, everything we did, it was both of us. And although I did more of like the clerical work, you know, creating the flyers, emailing it out, getting people, you know, we both would sit down and plan out the program together. But after having a baby, she was like, you know, our number one focus, as it should be. And it was like, how do we do all of this now? You know, the time that we would spend planning programs, we had to spend me pumping him, you know, trying to take the night shift so that we had balance in our family life. And I felt like I was suffocating when it came to church work. And so when I neglected myself even more to care for my daughter, my husband, the church, and I was like last on the list.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, something is going on.
Right.
Not to mention I failed my postpartum depression test when I went back to the doctor. But being a good old Christian, I'm like, don't put me on medication. I don't want that. You know, I'll figure it out. And, you know, God bless my doctor. She went along with me. And I mean, God is a healer. He's a restorer. He can supply all of our needs, but he also gives us medicine and things to help us on this journey. And we have to be smart enough to know when we need more help.
Right.
So, but for me, luckily, my family supported me between my mom, my husband, and Almighty God. I made it through such a dark time, but I realized that it wasn't just the postpartum depression. I was burnt out from ministry stuff. I was tired of, you know, trying to track people down to get them on program and all that kind of stuff. So I think when the church work no longer became fun and it was overwhelming and just, it was stressful at that point. And that's when I'm like, okay, something is going on. Something needs to be worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm so glad you said that when ministry actually didn't feel fun. Like it didn't feel like that thing your first love. It didn't feel like that anymore. It became a chore and you were just kind of going through the motions. So I had that same feeling. And I wrote about it before, but I remember when I was in ministry years ago, like I was in my 20s. And I literally was at church every day of the week. Every day of the week. Monday was steward board meeting. Tuesday, actually a steward board meeting. And I think it was another meeting. And then Tuesdays was usually board meeting. And then Wednesdays was Bible study. Thursday I was over the music ministry, so we had choir rehearsal. And if there were like two choirs that I needed to rehearse, I would rehearse two choirs on Thursday. Friday was off. And then Saturday was like lay meeting and 2-3 choir rehearsals. And then Sunday was all the church stuff. So it was Sunday school meet or church school, and then 11 o'clock service, which I couldn't actually enjoy service because I was working, because I was a music minister. So I was directing and trying to pay attention to what the preacher's saying so I can, pull out whatever song was in our repertoire that went with the message. I mean, it was, and not to mention, I was working a full-time job. So I get it. It was just a lot. It was a lot. So with all that being said, and with you dealing, I want you to talk a little bit more about postpartum, because I don't feel like we talk about that a lot. I don't have any children, so I can't speak to that, but I really want you to spend some time talking about postpartum, because I don't feel like we talk about that enough in the church. We don't really talk about a whole lot of stuff in the church, but particularly postpartum.
I like to call them the pew fillers. The pew fillers don't really understand,
Right.
what sacrifices really take place to put on church.
Right.
And the people who work behind the scenes, we have to get up earlier and leave later. Right. And, all of what we do behind the scenes isn't always shown on Sunday morning.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot. And postpartum depression is not really talked about a lot, not only in the church, but, in our community, as a whole, because I wasn't really prepared for it. Didn't really know it was a thing, sort of say. And when I failed my postpartum test, I was like, what? I mean, I was just answering the questions honestly. Yeah. I thought it was just, new mom anxiety and being overwhelmed and, but the doctor told me like, no, this is like serious and I need you to take it serious and I need you to fully understand, what you're feeling and what you're experiencing, and to not kind of just push it under the rug, because we don't want it to get worse. We want you to get to a point where you're healthier mentally, physically, emotionally, in all aspects. And I mean, for some people, postpartum depression, it's just baby blues.
Yep. Like, that's exactly what we call it, right?
Mm-hmm. That new mom thing, you know. And a lot of people, pushed it off to be that. And it's not, I couldn't control some of the thoughts. I couldn't control a lot of the emotion. I couldn't control just those things that made me feel overwhelmed. And I knew it was serious when I got to a point where I felt like my child and my husband would be better off without me. I actually got to a point where it led to suicidal thoughts. And I actually, got to a place where I attempted to take my own life. And I know that it's a trick of the enemy. I know that, when we're in church and we read the Bible and we worship and praise God, but we have to pass the test at the end of the day. And those tests come in different shapes and forms. And when you're in it, you don't realize it, but I'm so grateful to God, that I got a praying mama. I got a praying community. I have a praying husband who knows me. And he was able to say like, hey, I don't really know what's going on, but I'm here and we're going to get through this together. Like my husband was such a rock, like daddy of the century. Okay.
I believe
the
it.
Man took night shift. He did feedings. He did everything that needed to be done to fill in the gap to make sure that I could pour into myself and give myself the self-love that I needed. And, God showed me that self-love is really his love. God's love is self-love. Like
Exactly.
how we treat ourselves is us showing God how we feel about him.
Exactly.
And that's what he really brought me through that experience. So I'm grateful for the journey, because it was necessary. And I took my smile for granted. I'm a bubbly.
I know.
I love to smile and laugh. And in that season, it felt like work.
Right.
And so I'm just so grateful. I didn't go the route of some moms have to get medication, some moms need counseling, some moms, and my thing is do whatever you need to do for you, because I did what I need to do for me. And no matter what, I know what I did for me worked for me. And I took it to God in prayer. I studied the word. I started caring for myself. I started showering 2 times a day, doing my hair even if I wasn't going anywhere, putting good nutrition in my body, making sure I was eating, making sure I was doing some type of movement. Thank God we had a dog at the time, so we would go on family walks, and that was very beneficial. Who knew just getting outside in some fresh air is a huge benefactor when it comes to burnout or any other type of mental exhaustion. I mean, it was so necessary, just going for a walk. And we would walk around our neighborhood twice a day so that the dog could go. But God was using that as a tool to help me too. Me and the dog felt better.
Absolutely. And I'm so happy you said that, because with my clients, I encourage them to just go for a walk. That is one of the ways to prevent burnout. And so I'm so happy you said that. And they look at me like, oh, what? That's so simple. Girl, no. Right. It is so simple. And it is something that everyone can do. Even if you aren't able to walk, let's say you're wheelchair bound, someone can take you outside. Just that being outside in nature, getting the sun on you. I mean, it's just, that's church.
The trees, the sky.
That's church, okay?
Come on.
It is. It is.
It's everything you need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing that, because like I said, we just don't talk about that in the church, and it's really sad. And when you're talking about your symptoms, it reminded me of the symptoms I had when I was dealing with depression. And especially when I was dealing with menopause, I was dealing with perimenopause, and I had the same everything you were dealing with, which it makes sense because it's a hormonal shift and change that we're going through when you're dealing with postpartum depression, when you're dealing with menopause or perimenopause. It's just your hormones are changing, and it can affect people differently. And I had those exact same symptoms as you had. Very depressed. Thought about, my family would be better off if I wasn't here. And then I had to encourage myself. I had to continually to pray. And it was so hard because you literally, people, if you haven't dealt with depression, you don't understand, but there literally are voices in your head.
Uncontrollable voice.
Right.
Yes.
And you're
speak about it nowhere.
Right. And then you start trying to fight those voices and shut them up. I mean, it's crazy.
It is.
But you have to, if you don't have a strong support system, you do have to encourage you. Actually, if you have a strong support system, also, you still need to encourage yourself. And eventually, I came out of it without any medication. Like you, when I went to my gynecologist, I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and I was answering the questions, like you, being honest.
Yep.
And I failed. And she was like, reading through these
that classic,
it's reading through these questions, and you can probably benefit from, I can't remember the medication. Oh, I can't remember what it was. But she was like, you can probably benefit from this medication. She was trying to sell me on it. She was like, I took it when I was going through menopause and it really helped me. And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm not doing it. Now, I'm not saying, I'm not advocating not take medication. I just know me.
Right.
And I knew that was not what I needed at the time. Now, if you have full on um, depression and if you're dealing with some type of mental imbalance, then you definitely need some type of medication. But I knew that wasn't what I needed. I knew that wasn't the thing for me. And I took the prescription. I was like, okay, yeah, all that prescription is still in my drawer. Like I'm not, I'm not.
Everybody has to do what works for their
Right.
body. And that's just a
Exactly.
part of knowing yourself. Like,
Exactly. And then like you, I was still active in church. And so it was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was kind of an out of body experience, I guess, because I was there, but not like
it's
going through the
almost like
motions.
playing two different roles.
Right.
Because, I was Bree at church and then I was Bree at home. And the Bree at church was different from the Bree at home.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know if people even notice the difference in
Same.
I can't even say that they actually knew that I was going through postpartum depression.
Now I knew, like I can sense it. Like I would reach out to you, but
well, you were a part of that community of people.
Right.
Like the pew sitters, the pew fillers, they just put me to work like normal.
Put you to work. Yeah,
she's fine. She just had a baby. Yeah, that's all.
Exactly. She'll be all right. She'll be all right. As long as we get what we need out of her, she's gonna be just fine.
That's right.
But it's so sad. And then we put on this face and we still try to get stuff done, but we're not really there.
That was the mask before COVID.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. That is so true. We have been wearing masks before COVID hit. That is so true. I love that. And then it's so funny because even if you aren't smiling, like let's say you have one of those days where you just can't fake the funk at all. And they were just like, what's wrong with you? And if you tell them the truth, I even had one person, a preacher. I went to a preacher friend and thought, okay, this is a preacher friend. I'm going to tell them exactly what's wrong. Tell this person exactly what was wrong. How about they blame me for everything? If I was, thank God I was coming out of the depression, but if I was like deep in the depression where I was having those suicidal thoughts, and then to hear this preacher tell me it was my fault and you need to do this, and what if you did this, then that wouldn't have happened. You wouldn't be in this situation, type of deal. I wouldn't be here right now. I would not be here right now. So you have to really, I said all that to say you really have to choose who is in your bubble, and you need to choose who you tell stuff to. Like you really need to be selective and prayed up about that. And so I have learned that, I'm very, I don't tell people squat, okay? I don't tell them anything now, and I'm very selective and prayed up about who I talk to. So thank you again.
You have to.
You do. You have to.
God sent me guardian angels. That's what I call them. He sent me guardian angels. And in those low moments, they popped up. They showed up always on time. And, some of my guardian angels don't even know that they're my guardian angels because they would just randomly reach out to me. People who I haven't even had conversations with years. And it was like, hey, just sending you love and light. And little did they know I was in a room of darkness full of people. You know, it's just, I'm telling you, man,
Yeah.
God is the greatest, man.
Listen,
He's the greatest.
the
He's the greatest.
MVP, okay?
Don't let us have church on.
Right. We're not gonna do that, but we might. I'm just saying, because you guys don't know how we get when we talk. So
Subject to be moved by the Holy Spirit.
exactly. But again, I do want to thank you so much for sharing about your experience postpartum depression, and really hoping that helps some people, especially for all the female ministers. Whew. The job of a female minister, not saying that the job of a male minister is any different. I'm just saying it's different. It's just different for women, period.
For sure. It's different.
So different. We have so much that we have. Right.
The level of intensity is different. The journey itself.
The journey is just different.
It's just different.
It really is. It's just different. So, how did you recover from that? Or do you feel like you're still a work in progress?
I do feel like I recovered, but I am still a work in progress, because when you're dealing with something that's emotional and mental, I would like to put it in the category of trauma. You know, a trauma victim, you know, you might not be dealing with the pain, the initial pain of the car accident, but there are still some types of side effects or, you know, different circumstances that are still lingering, or things that you still have to deal with. You know, you broke your foot, the bone might have, you know, healed and everything's okay, but there's still physical therapy that you have to do. You know, so I am permanently on a self-care journey of making sure to always pour into myself, fill my cup. One of the ladies I follow, you know, she always says, conquer yourself before you conquer the world. And so I love that. Yeah, that's Seven the Stylist on Instagram. And she just, when I used to attend her personal development calls in the morning when I was going through depression, postpartum depression, and that was just one of her main things. Like, you have to conquer yourself before you conquer the world. And I just believe in that wholeheartedly. Like, we tend to get up, hit the ground running, and we haven't even done what we needed for ourselves first. So people benefit from our overflow, not from what's in our cup. So we have to have our cup full before we can, you know, bless people with the excess and access to us.
And that's exactly, you know, that's what I teach.
I know. I know. Don't I sound like a good student?
I'm so proud, y'all. I'm just proud. I'm proud. But yeah, pastors and ministry leaders, pastors and ministry leaders, and particularly pastors, I'll just focus on the pastors right now. That profession, the pastoral profession, is similar to that of a caregiver.
For sure.
And we all know caregivers do not take care of themselves.
Nope.
And like you said, you're giving people the overflow. And if people are only getting your overflow, are you really being as effective as you could be in ministry? I'm just going to put it out there.
Wow. That's a good question.
That's an ouch. But are you being as effective as you should be? We really need to take care of self. And it's not selfish. It is what God expected us to do.
He requires us to be good stewards.
Absolutely.
Over everything. Absolutely. And that's including ourselves.
And including yourself. And if you take care of yourself, then you can be a better pastor, a better ministry leader. It just all fans out once you take care of self. And it's really easy clearly it's easy because there's so many pastors that are dealing with burnout, that it's really easy to not think about yourself when you're constantly thinking about people. And I've watched so many pastors. It's like they're like the little hamster on the wheel, and they just running, and not getting anywhere. Ministry's dying, people are leaving, and they
I
really,
think it's because a lot of them don't realize that they're burnt out.
they
They
don't,
think they have it all together. They think everything is running like an oiled
and
machine.
it ain't.
They don't realize how sporadic and all over the place they really are.
Right.
And
Right.
it's unfortunate, not only to the people, but to
Right.
the ministry itself.
Exactly. Exactly. Because once you get to the point of ministry is a burden, you got a problem.
For sure.
And it's a huge problem.
For sure.
And it's usually something, and that's what I find with my clients, is that it's really simple. It's so simple. The work is simple, but then again, it's not. Because we don't want to take care of ourselves. I'm not gonna say we don't want to. We don't know how. We don't realize, just like the thing that you mentioned earlier about just going for a walk. Just a simple getting outside, going for a walk can do wonders.
Change everything.
It is a game changer.
You know, our bodies need fresh air. Like,
yeah, the vitamin D. I mean,
we need something as simple as fresh
absolutely,
air.
Absolutely, fresh
Vitamin
air.
D deficient. Everybody in the world is vitamin D deficient.
Exactly. Just that. Just scheduling. I have another friend who is a pastor, and I was like, listen, because he was online. Actually, his church was live streaming. Actually, it wasn't church service, it was a Bible study. And so the camera was like really close. I was like, man, I can tell he is burned out. Like, I can see it. Reached out to him and asked, told him I can see it in his eyes. Asked if he had taken a break. Like, when is your next break? Like, when are you going on vacation? I got nothing. It's like, dude, when is your next vacation? You need to schedule a vacation. He says, I don't know how. That's sad.
It's very unfortunate.
Very.
It is, because most ministry leaders and pastors don't take a break until something sits them down.
Exactly.
It's not until the heart attack, the stroke, the brain bleed,
The cancer
that physical
diagnosis,
fall that
right?
led to blank, blank, blank. You know, it's just
Stroke.
it's unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah. And it's extremely unfortunate that your body has to literally shut you down before you before you
Right.
decide to take a break. Your body's like, you know what? Since you're not gonna do this, I'm gonna have to do this for us. You know, I can't. I can't. I just cannot. You will not do it. I'm gonna shut us down. How about that?
I'm telling you, it's sad. And you know, if you work any job, you get allotted what? PTO.
Yeah.
You got a good job, you get PTO and sick time.
Right.
You know, so it's built into your benefits. So I mean, come on, really?
Right. You could at least get
that in your schedule for you to have vacation time, just personal leave, whatever it is that you need that fits your life. But
absolutely,
it's definitely necessary. You know, growing up, I would always hear the older saints say, "You keep yourself busy so you ain't got time to sin." Well, listen. You can sin by thought, word.
absolutely. Come on now.
You may not be physically doing it, but you're doing it by thought. So you might as well take a break.
Might as well take a break. Might as well just take a break. And that's another thing I tell my clients, whenever at the beginning, we're in the AME church. So at the beginning of each conference year, you need to sit down with your team, your steward boards, hopefully have an administrative assistant. sit down and map out when you're going to take a break,
For sure.
which you should have already discussed with your family. Okay.
Right.
Okay. When are we going to take a family trip? When are we going to take some time off? You need to sit down and put that in your calendar and your church's calendar. You also need to schedule breaks every single day. Like you mentioned, if you worked in corporate America, you would have breaks. I worked in HR. It was required that you take at least a 15-minute break every 5 hours. At the fifth hour, you need to take at least 15 minutes, better yet, 30 minutes, at least a 30-minute lunch. Like you have to. And so sit down with your admin for the week whenever you're doing your planning, because I know y'all are doing planning with your admins. Hello.
Say ouch, because I know you're not.
Some type of planning for the week. Sit down and tell your admin, okay, and your stewards, this needs to be communicated, but when are you going to take breaks every day? Okay, I take my lunch at between 1 and 2. And literally take a lunch. I don't mean sit in front of your computer and still work and eat. That's not what I'm talking about. I mean step away from the work, go outside for a little walk. Go have dinner or, excuse me, lunch with your spouse. Do something away from the office. It will do wonders.
I don't know why we don't believe in rest. It's so important, when it comes from sleep at night, rest during the day. And, as a ministry leader, as a pastor, as an entrepreneur, we're constantly in grind mode,
Constantly.
Have to. It is so important just to walk away from the computer, to put the phone down, to have no screen time. I had to learn that. I had to literally put myself on a screen time regimen, okay? Because the screen was next to the bed. Yep. So I had to learn, put my phone, Apple is smart, okay? You can put your phone on sleep mode. Do not disturb me. So when my phone goes on sleep mode, I am no longer allowed to be on social media.
Exactly. Same.
Those are the parameters for myself. Yep. But in ministry, we also have to set those same parameters. It's just so necessary. It's no different than trying to protect the pastor or whoever preached after they preach to not be around a bunch of people because they're open. It's the same thing. You got to protect your mental and take the break
on a daily basis. And it really comes from, and I'm glad you mentioned this, but it actually leads to the next topic, was how do you prevent burnout in the future? And you've already touched on that. You said I do the same thing with my phone, by the way. I love it. I woke up this morning and I had a text, and the person was like, I'm so happy you have your phone on do not disturb because I hated texting you this morning. I'm like, well, if you hated texting me this early, then you should have texted me.
Right.
But I had my phone set up, so I didn't even hear you anyway.
You still hit send.
Absolutely. And that's what people do, right? I hate to ask you, but.
Well, don't ask.
Don't ask. I didn't want
to. Or don't say I hate to ask, because then that diminishes your ask.
Exactly. So, but yeah, so I'm happy that you brought that up, because I do the same thing, and I love, if you don't have an iPhone, I don't know what I don't know what you're doing in your life.
I don't even know what other phones are out there.
I don't know.
I'm sorry.
I can hear my Androids or whatever. Not sponsored by iPhone, by the way. I'm just saying, or Apple, but I'm just saying. So you can do right. But you can definitely do that on your iPhone. I do it as well. And I really hope that pastors and ministry leaders do that. I also try to do some physical activity, but also not just working out to where you're in constant pain, but just simple movement. You don't have to do, I don't know, a boot camp every day and CrossFit. Like you literally can do some yoga. You can do gardening if that's something that you like to do. You mentioned walking, just some type of movement your body was created for movement. I mean, it just was.
To dance workouts now. Like I go on YouTube and I just pull up dance workouts just because I understand that the movement is good for my mental, to give me a moment to, take away from everything on my to-do list that is already extended more than it should be anyway.
But we need to talk about that, but go ahead. Next time.
So the dance workouts help me to incorporate movement without having to put so much strain on myself of, I need to work out today, so it's that's fun. Something I'm loving in this season. And I've embraced that fully. Speaking of which, my dance workout is on my schedule to do today. Because even though the schedule changes, the structure doesn't. So I'm gonna make sure that I get that in today.
Absolutely.
But I'm so proud of you. You just gotta do something to move your body.
You do.
At least for 20 minutes or more.
Exactly. That is so, so true. I'm so proud of you, by the way. I'm so happy to hear that. The other thing that I am really, really big into is meditation and yoga. Now, Christians be like,
Hey, we don't do none of that yoga.
We don't do none of that. Right. We don't do that. But honestly, and you don't have to do yoga, but you need to do some type of stretching. Okay, some type of stretching. It feels so good, y'all. I just turned 50. Listen, stuff be.
That's something I need to try. I haven't really honestly gotten into I'm such high energy to bring myself to calm down for that long.
Because it's about balance. So you need to calm down.
So is that something good to do like before bed then?
It would be perfect. There's different kinds, but I would highly recommend at least meditation. Okay. I start meditating in the morning and at night, just 5 minutes. Like, you don't need to do a whole lot. At first, I found that meditation was really difficult for me because I was stressed out and my mind was going, and I couldn't, I close my eyes and try to meditate, and I'm thinking about, oh my God, what else do I need to cook for today? Oh my God, I got that appointment tomorrow. Like, my mind's constantly going.
Thinking with your eyes closed.
Right, exactly. But then I found out that you need to just, first of all, that's going to happen. It doesn't mean that you suck at meditation or anything like that. It just means that you're human and that happens. But one of the tricks is to focus on something positive. Have a scripture in mind that gets you through, or that helps you to calm yourself, or an affirmation or something to that effect, and just constantly repeat it at first, and it'll help calm you down. And so that's what I have done to help me with meditation. Now I can sit quietly, but it was a struggle at first, honey. It was a struggle. And then as far as yoga is just, to me, it's just really stretching. You don't have to do yoga. I ain't doing no chants and none of that kind of stuff. But it's really just for the stretching and making sure that my body is pliable enough, because stuff it gets hard to move, honey. When you get out the chair, you gotta, yeah, you need to start doing yoga.
Well, I'll try that. I'll keep you posted on that one.
Just keep me posted. Even after your workout, just if you do just a light stretch after your workout, just to kind of get you going. But I'm super excited that you have added that to your calendar. I'm like, okay.
I love it. I found this one on YouTube. She does like different songs and things. The one I have planned for today, it's 2000s R&B.
Ooh.
I'm so excited.
Okay, so you need to send me that. Yeah.
I'll send it to you because I'm so excited. I'm like, I can't wait till we get done with this because I'm going to go do my dance workout.
Yeah. You need to send me that one because I love dancing as well. It just does so much for your mental. I mean, it just gets you in a whole different place where, and that's the key, is to get out of that stressful environment, whether it be get out of it mentally or physically if you can. But just a few minutes, 10, 20 minutes away from that or thinking about it.
Especially if you can find something that you enjoy to do, then it's not a drag. It's fun. It's like, I can't wait to do this for myself today. Like, that's the point where I am now. And it's amazing on this side of the journey.
I love
it. I need to do this for myself today.
I know you, and you're like, who am I?
Right. Who's the girl? I don't know that girl.
Right. Exactly. Well, listen, we're almost out of time, so thank you so much for being my first guest. I'm just so proud of you. I really am.
Fun. I appreciate you for
You gotta come back on.
Definitely.
And Brianna and I are working on a project, so we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Not in this podcast.
To come.
Yeah, it's coming. So we'll keep you guys posted. But tell everyone where they can find you and what the project is that you're working on right now that should be
Well, of the many things that God has given me, because not only am I the wife of a minister, but I am a minister in my own right. So I'm currently in school working towards those goals for ministry requirements. So I'm super excited for what God has in store for not only me on my journey, but my husband on his journey, and just what he's gonna do with us as a team. We love to encourage people in God, and that is something that people don't really realize. Like, to love to encourage people, that's just a calling within it. So
yeah, that's my calling. I love it.
I'm grateful that God chose little old me, to share his light with the world. But you can find me on Instagram at it's _lifing life like a _G. And then, of course, I have Built by Faith apparel. I'm actually wearing this shirt today, one of our shirts. It's one of my favorites from the Smile collection. See miracles in life every day. Genesis 1:1, God gave that to me when I was going through postpartum depression, that, the first miracle that was created was, God creating the world. And that lets us know that every day is a new day full of new miracles. And if we just look for them, we can see them. So to see miracles in life every day, that is what gives us our smile. So you guys, please support and shop till you drop. One thing I love about Built by Faith apparel is we also are on a mission to be a part of the hands and the feet of the church. So every month we donate a portion of our sales to a local ministry. So I'm super excited. Our launch date is the 15th of April. So I'm so excited to see the first ministry we'll be able to bless. And please go follow it at _Built by Faith. And follow us on Instagram. And I'm just so excited to see what God is about to do. He's the greatest, man. He is the greatest. Who wouldn't serve a God like this? Like,
exactly.
Why wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't you? Exactly.
Why wouldn't you? So, y'all, y'all can, interact with me on Instagram. I'm definitely the same way on my story. You're going to get some encouragement and a laugh.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're going to get these encouraging words, whether you want them or not. Okay.
Because you never know, I I might be talking about Jesus at any given point. You just never know.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to make sure I link everything in the description so you can have all of her Instagram handles and so you can go and follow. But I'm super excited. And again, I'm super, super grateful that you agreed to come on to the podcast. But that is all, everyone. We will see you next time. Bye.
Thanks so much for having me, Monique. This was awesome.